Good evening. This is the Tuesday, December 10th, 2024 Lebanon Historic Preservation Commission meeting. Can we have a call to order with the roll call?
George Piper.
Here.
Nicole Wethington. Here. Andrew Anderson.
Here.
Tim Schrock.
Here.
And Scott Allen is absent.
Okay, first on our agenda is approval of last meeting's minutes, which would be October. Thank you. The approval of October minutes. Do I have an motion to approve the October minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, minutes are approved. Do we have any old business to review tonight?
Probably should do a vote.
A vote, thank you.
Yeah.
Forgive me as I bumbled through this tonight. Vote to approve minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Minutes are carried. Okay, on to old business. Derek, any old business? No old business. So on to new business. First up tonight is the application at 112 South Meridian Street, facade renovations.
At this point, sir, do I need to make it known that I'm recusing myself for this agenda item?
I was just getting ready to introduce that. So I want to welcome Tim Schrock to the commission. He is a new appointment, obviously. Thanks for joining us. I think he'll bring some great tools to the commission for us. Tonight's going to be a little awkward. We have a couple applications where we have commission members who have worked with these applications. So we will have a series of recusals so that there are no votes taken in conflict with these applications. And the first one, Tim has a conflict with. So Tim, if you could officially recuse yourself from the application verbally, we'd appreciate that.
I am officially recusing myself. Tonight I am representing the client. They are unable to attend, so I will step down and take any questions as they come.
Tim? Okay. I am going to put a I'm not going to do what I said I was going to do, TV guys, so sorry about that. I'm going to read the staff report. Sorry, I was trying to come up with a new way to make presentations to where I could have the image up on the screen as I'm talking so that it kind of matches. I'm working through that still, so I can't do that tonight. So this will just be in the way I've always done it. I will read through the staff report, then I will show you the pictures as we get finished with that. So tonight, the first item on the agenda is 112 South Meridian Street. The applicant is John Cunningham. The property is zoned central business, and this property has not been before the Historic Preservation Commission. The building is rated contributing, which is a building less than 50 years old and which is compatible with its historic surroundings, or a building which is over 40 years old and whose historic character remains but does not rise to the level of notable or outstanding. This building is included in the National Register of Historic Places, Lebanon Courthouse Square Historic District. The action requested tonight is for a facade restoration. As you might know, this is the building where Rocket Liquors is currently housed. And back when Hurricane Helene came through, it created a situation where the facade failed. So that's why we are here. And that's why the proposal is for a facade restoration. So I will go through the storefront, what those changes look like, the alley changes on the south side and the west and north side as well, which are, kind of tucked in a spot where you really don't even see it. But I will give it to you all. Storefront, the current storefront masonry failed on 9/27 of 2024. As mentioned, the storm delivered by Hurricane Helene caused water to get behind the brick facade. The parapet wall and attached metal corbel and cornice fell back onto the roof and where it currently still resides. The brick below the parapet and above the second floor windows fell into the public right-of-way, taking down the awning and damaging the existing gooseneck lighting in the process. Fortunately, no people were harmed. After researching options to fix the brick facade, the best option is to demo the remaining brick and replace it from the ground up. There are several reasons this approach makes the most sense. Installing new brick will allow it to be installed with brick ties, which it currently does not have, securing it in place. Secondly, the brick is glazed and an odd size. Trying to find a match was unsuccessful, which the applicant did do. Staff believes the patching in of a different brick, which was the original proposal, and then painting it would show the difference in brick style. Painting it does not get rid of texture. That texture just transfers right through. The new proposed brick is white in color and unglazed. Specs for the brick can be found at the following website, which I provided to you in the staff report. And I can show pictures of that as we move forward. The applicant is proposing to install new first floor windows and doors, aluminum clad, bronze in color. The storefront consists of 2 doors, one for access to the first floor space and one for access to the second floor space. These 3 storefront windows in the middle of the 2 doors, all with transom windows above. The storefront windows and doors will be trimmed in black steel. Existing second floor aluminum clad windows will be painted Sherwin-Williams enduring bronze, which will match the first floor storefront. The damaged gooseneck lighting will be replaced with the same model as existing. The corbels and cornice will be repaired and reused and painted the Sherwin-Williams enduring bronze to keep the consistency in color. The awning will be repaired and reinstalled. The addition of down lights under the awning is also proposed. On the alley side, the existing paint will be removed, brick will be cleaned and tuck pointed as required, and a new security light is proposed next to the second floor window shining down into the alley. The west and north side, which is in this weird little courtyard area, if you've ever been down that alley, if you kind of look to the north as you're walking from east to west, you'll see this little iron gate. And if you look back in that iron gate, there's a super secret courtyard there that actually belongs to 101 West Main Street, I believe is the address in legal terms. It's a really cool space that very few know about. But with that, it exposes the west side and a little bit of the north elevations of this building. So the existing paint will be removed on those sides as well, and the brick will be cleaned and tuck pointed as required to bring it back to an unpainted surface. The staff recommendation. With the failure and the condition of the remaining brick being poor, staff does not believe the proposed renovations to this building will have a negative impact on the structure or the district. Staff recommendation is to approve the COA as submitted. So let me give you some pictures here so you can see what we're dealing with. There she is. That was the I'm trying to think that was the day after the collapse. So you can see nothing's been cleaned up yet, and the result of the brick falling into the public right of way is seen. We had South Meridian Street closed until we could get a structural engineering report to determine what the remaining brick condition was and what needed to be done if it was safe to continue to make it safe for the public and to reopen the store, which that report was provided in your information that you received prior to the meeting. The brick was cleaned up, the awning was removed. You can see that there is, let's see here. There were bits. You can see the cracks in the brick there that had failed but had not fallen down. So that little corner right here was removed during the cleanup. And as you can see, that portion right there, also dangling in the air from the second floor, was also removed during the cleanup process. That was the recommendation of the structural engineer. There's just another angle of it. So the recommendation was to remove the loose bits and cover it with a tarp so that water could not get back behind what what remained. And if water were to get back behind there, it could have had the potential to create more collapse. So the owner did secure a tarp over the cornice and corbel that is existing on the roof currently in a safe place. Probably the safest place for it, honestly, the way it fell. That way it can be reused and it could remain up there and it wouldn't get lost in some warehouse or damaged or whatever during this process while we were seeking approvals. So all that was done so that the store could reopen. And just to kind of give you an idea, this brick, this is an odd case. Typically, when you get into these historic buildings, the facade, what you see is actually part of the brick structure. There's usually not a separate brick facade and a brick structure behind it. It's typically all one. I don't have a good sense whether or not this is original brick or not. It is a different style of brick than what you see around it, and a different style of brick of even what you see behind it there with the structural brick. So my hunch is that has been replaced somewhere over time. The way the corners are rounded and the way it was glazed, which you can't see because it had been painted, probably why the paint isn't sticking very well. It looks like an Art Deco style of brick to me, which would put in kind of the 30s time period, I suppose. So again, I don't have the information to know one way or the other. I'm just kind of putting two and two together. So, when we're proposing this new brick that they're installing, it is an opportunity to obviously create a safe scenario for the new brick facade. It is, but it's also not necessarily. The idea is it's not creating a false sense of history by putting up something that we assume was there. When you get into some of these projects, even in a failed project like this, you don't want to give people in the future the sense that that's original brick. There's a story to tell with all these buildings, and failure is part of it. So a new brick facade is just part of the story of this building. New brick obviously is the material we're looking for, and that will last well into the future. Had we not had these type of regulations and guidelines in place, there would be nothing that would prevent this store owner from taking down this brick and putting up some faux material that wouldn't be something that's complementary to the district. So that's why staff eventually became comfortable with the idea of white brick going up in place of this existing facade. And as you look through the district, there are many buildings that have different variations and shades of brick. Some brick are even more modern in texture that has been replaced over time, even with a different color. So this is not going to be a situation where this new brick, white brick, is in any way harmful to the district or the surrounding buildings, in staff's opinion, which is me. Sorry. Proposed elevations. Let's see here. This is just kind of a generated image of the white brick, which you can see, the new storefront, the cornice painted on the top, and the windows, the second floor windows, also the frames painted so that it is all consistent. These are the detailed facade changes. These moving forward, this is not necessarily part of this application, but these are the pictures I want to show you while I'm talking so that we can look at them and not have to go back. But you have this in your packet. You can see all the work that's being done, which matches all the language in the staff report. I'm not going to go over the engineering assessment. I don't think you need me to do that. Unless you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer it. So with that, that's all I have for this presentation. So if you have any specific questions for me, I'm happy to answer those. Tim, since he's recused himself, can also answer any questions that you might have for him as the designer of this proposal.
Great. Thank you, Derek. Any further comment from Tim on the application?
Yes, sir. just for formality, I guess I'll say I'm Tim Schrock. I designed this for the applicant. They're in the middle of family emergency this past couple of weeks, so they aren't unable to make it tonight. I do want to make one minor correction. Our plan currently with the awning is to replace that with the exact same awning as was there. And I believe that was previously, the awning and the lights were a previous agenda item some time ago. I don't have a date on that, but the awning and lighting were approved by the commission at that time. And so our thought was, well, if the commission approved it at that time, we'll just reuse the same same awning, same suppliers, same materials, et cetera. Just the condition of the awning is bent worse than worse than it's necessary to or really capable of fixing at this point. I do have a sample brick. I climbed up on top of the roof and pulled a damaged brick off of that, if you want to see what that is. And I have a sample of the white brick that we're proposing. I will make a comment. The brick that's there now, I spoke with a brick supplier from Carmel. He took very detailed measurements of the bricks, and just the size of the bricks, he said, oh my goodness, these have to be at least 100 years old. The size of the bricks and the geometry of the columns down next to the alley, he made a good point. The bricks are larger than today's standard brick. And that column there, particularly on both the left and the right side, are of such dimensions that we would either have a really thick mortar joint between bricks or really skinny shims of bricks to have to cut for the column. So our idea is to order custom bricks to the size of the bricks that we have now. Go ahead and continue with the rounded corners as is there currently, and try to keep the historicity of the shape of things that way. So that's, I think, my couple comments that I wanted to add. Open to any questions you may have.
Questions from the commission? Tim, the only question I had was just what the intent is behind the awning. Looks like today there's a mix of, well, just the plywood that's back there and whatever else. So just curious what you're going to go back with behind that.
Can we pull up that picture of the damaged thing again? To be honest, it's covered with a tarp right now. Oh, wait, no. So I don't know what that material, I didn't look that deep.
The way I interpret Tim is the transom windows won't go.
No, the transom windows are right there. The awning is that space right there. The steel lintel is right there at where that top of the plywood is, and that whatever that pinkish metal looking is. I guess I would say we'd have to put some sort of facade on that, obviously to cover up the wood and make that weather resistant behind the awning. I didn't get that deep into the details as of yet.
Okay.
For
I was just
construction.
curious if its storefront was going up, or I think we may be sensitive to, cheap metal or corrugated or something like that. I think if you intend to carry the same detailing from below with the metal wrap, something like that would be appropriate. But
Okay. I will comment here in this picture, we've got this yellow metal behind the mailbox. We have, best we can see behind that, there is brick there too. So our intent is just to take off that yellow metal and have that be exposed brick.
Are you having to remove the windows above to replace the brick when the brick comes off, or I'm just curious
That wasn't
what that
in the
process-
current intent. The way it looks is that brick is beside the window jamb there.
Okay, doesn't change my vote or anything. Just
Okay.
curious how you'll approach that. But any other
My
questions?
hope is that can come off. Obviously, I just thought of it. Those lintels would probably come off as that brick facade comes off. So we would, hang on to those and reuse them on the new brick layer.
Okay, no other questions, comments? Okay, with that, then do we have a motion to approve? Sorry, let me keep the address pulled up. Logged out, bear with me. Thank you. So do we have a motion to approve the application at 112 South Meridian Street?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No. Okay, you are approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next application tonight is at 124 South Lebanon Street. I will recuse myself from this and the following application at 126 South Lebanon Street, as I'm involved in both of those projects.
Thank you, Andy. Derek, we'll hear from you on, do 124 first?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, George. Both these applications are relatively straightforward. Very similar. They are two separate structures, so I will go over them one at a time. We will start with 124, take a vote, and then move on to 126. So the applicant tonight is Collier's Corner LLC, Robert McCormick. The location is 124 South Lebanon Street, and the property is zoned central business. And this property has not been before the Historic Preservation Commission. The building is rated contributing, same as the last one, building less than 50 years old, and which is compatible with its historic surroundings, or a building which is over 40 years old and whose historic character remains, but does not rise to the level of notable or outstanding. This building is included in the National Register of Historic Places, Lebanon Courthouse Square Historic District. Certificate of appropriateness tonight. The action requested is for facade restoration. I'm going to go over this one the same as I did on the last one, and I will admit that I did kind of use some of the applicant's descriptions on this one, which helped tremendously. This was a very thorough application, which I certainly appreciate. Wasn't one that I had to do a whole lot of guesswork on, or even back and forth. So we'll start with the east-facing facade, which is the front of the building. The existing brick is to be cleaned and tuck-pointed. A new aluminum storefront of a white or off-white color will be installed in the first floor openings and trimmed out with metal wraps of matching color at the perimeter of the openings. New aluminum-clad wood windows, color to match the storefront, will be installed in the second floor openings. And those openings will stay the same size, as you will see in the pictures I show you after I'm done here. The north facade, which is really a side that you struggle to see from any public right of way. About the only place you see it is when you're on Main Street, kind of going from west to east. As you're passing the Huntington Bank drive-through, if you take a glimpse to your south, you see a little bit of the north facade sticking out above the other building. I think, hold on. No, I'm sorry, 124. I'm all mixed up here. Sorry, there's a lot of 124 South Lebanon Streets and 124 North Lebanon Streets, 126 South, and going on right now. And a a lot of meeting dates too. Things are confusing. So 124 South 11th Street, the north-facing facade you do see. There was recently a Heart of Lebanon butterfly mural hanging up there to give you an idea of what you're looking at. So you do see that. The existing plaster will remain and be repaired as needed before receiving a new coat of paint. A new window opening will be created at the second floor level, which shows in the picture that you will see, and a new aluminum-clad wood window. A new window opening will be created at the second floor level, which will be a aluminum-clad window. Color will be white or off-white to match the theme on the front. All right, back on the rails here. The west-facing side, which is the alley side, the existing brick is to be cleaned, and a new hollow metal door will replace the existing door at the southwest corner. Pictures are worth 1,000 words in this application, which I will show you. I will also provide the recommendation before I do that. A significant amount of general repair and maintenance is the largest undertaking of the facade improvements. This list can be found in the facade report provided by the applicant. Along with the changes proposed, the facade of the building will be left in outstanding condition. Staff believes the proposed changes to the structure will not have a negative impact on the building or the district. Staff recommendation is to approve the COA as submitted. So let's get to the fun part. There she is. On the storefront side, the east-facing side, you can see that the original storefront was filled in at some point and replaced with what you would describe as bar windows, probably, since it's been a bar off and on over the years. Some various businesses on the north side have been there as well, but obviously at some point somebody decided this was the way to do it, and it was probably the cheaper option is why that was done. There's the north elevation that I was talking about. You can see there currently is not a window on that side. And the new proposed elevation, I will show you where that window goes. There's the west elevation, and there's that door that will be replaced. Let's get to the new pictures. Actually, before we get to the new pictures, there it is historically. The Olympic Theater is what you're looking at there. So you can see at some point a parapet wall was added to the top. This is another one of those buildings where I believe the facade brick has likely been changed somewhere over time, with the current brick you see there not being the brick color that you see currently, and with the addition of the parapet wall. So this picture is labeled 1910. The Olympic Theater, you can kind of still see there, it looks like, on the signage right above the storefront, but obviously the storefront that you see now is in this picture. So somewhere between 1880-ish to 1910 is where you see that new storefront start to pop up. The Olympic Theater became the Lido Theater. Or Lido, excuse me. Is it Lido or Lido? That's the debate. Yeah, okay. Is it Jacques or Jacques West? That's the other debate here in town. So nobody knows. And there she is in 1980s, 1983, the year I moved to town. Do not remember Whirlpool being next door. There's the new proposed elevation. As I mentioned to you earlier on, this is a pretty straightforward application. This is really taking the storefront back to its original configuration, which you see there on the first floor. cleaning everything up on the east facing side, and also repairing and cleaning all of the surface that is on the north side. I call it a plaster surface. I know it's not plaster, it's some other type of material, but it's a masonry material of some sort. And you see the new window there. And I did pose the question on, whether or not there was any conversation about taking that elevation back to an original brick. And the answer was exactly what I intuitively, thought it would be, that material could create a definite nightmare, trying to remove it and preserving the very soft brick that's behind it. In fact, it's probably a task that just wouldn't be able to get accomplished, and would have to have a new brick wall built. So if the surface itself is cleaned up, repaired, patched, which is all part of that facade report that you have, and repainted, that in my opinion becomes the best approach. So it was what I thought it was when I asked that question. So that is the answer to not exposing the brick on that side. So it's a lot of repair, patching, repainting on the sides, other than the east-facing facade side. There's the detail that was described in the staff report is provided to you in this application. And just for, information purposes, this is kind of the layout of that structure. You can see big first floor space. You can see some apartments on the second floor as well. So it is a mixed use structure, proposed mixed use structure. So with that, that's all I have in terms of staff report. The applicant is here to answer any questions that you might have on this proposal.
Well, thank you, Derek. Any questions for staff at this time?
I'm curious about the report itself. You said the building is less than 50 years old?
No. That's just
being new?
Yeah. Sorry, Sam. That is the each building in the district has a classification. You have contributing, notable, outstanding, and not non-contributing is the lowest grading. So in the grading description, what you heard me say was the definition of contributing. So a contributing building can be a building which is less than 50 years old. Or a building that is over 40 years old, but is in poor condition, basically, is what it means. So what you heard me say there was that was all just part of the classification of the building when we originally created the district.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there are no questions for staff. We'll hear from the applicant. And give your name for the record too, please.
Yeah, Bart Jackson. So I'm just one of the partners in the project. I think Andrew did a great job summarizing everything in the report, which, Derek did a great job reading off. I'll be honest, I leave this in the hands of the professionals. My brother, Matt, who we own our firm together, and he's had some history with these types of projects in downtown. Somehow he's more of a designer than I am. So I leave it to him and Andrew, and I think they've done a great job. I'm here representing us tonight. I'll do the best I can to answer any questions. Again, a little outside of my specialty, but that's okay.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
I noticed on the north elevation, there's a chimney stack sticking out of the wall. Is that to remain? Do we know what that is?
Yeah, Kenny. And I'll pass it off.
Andrew Anderson with Dell Design Architects. So that is part of the equipment that's currently servicing the kitchen that was the Echo Room in that space. As of right now, we are not converting the Echo Room. That tenant is no longer there. That is closed. And that space is essentially interior not touched. So with the current scope, there's no need to remove that. I think that will be reevaluated once a new tenant is selected.
What is the window? What is that looking into or looking out from?
Yep, George. So great question. We're only adding one window, and that's because we're taking the upstairs, and it will now be a 3-bedroom apartment, I think is where we ended up on that. So code requires egress windows from those apartments. And so it was required to add that one window to make that a usable bedroom. Without it, it would not be allowed to be determined as a bedroom.
Fantastic. Yeah. I was just curious. Yeah, I was just curious. There wasn't one there before, and now there is. But yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
No, good. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for the applicant? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the, let me get back to the agenda here. I believe to approve the COA for 124 South Lebanon Street.
I'll make that motion.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 126 South Lebanon Street. I think some of these elevations might look familiar. So first we'll hear from staff, and then we'll hear from the applicant.
Yep. Thank you, George. Same applicant. So I will go through this again. Very similar project. As both buildings needed, obviously, some TLC. There are a little bit more detail to go over on the south-facing wall, but we will get to that, and we can also answer why those are being proposed the way they are. So, hold on one second. Sorry. I described the first application the wrong name. The first application was the Lido building. So again, sorry, I had some mistakes there, obviously. I think I copy and pasted and forgot to change something is what happened, to be honest with you. So the first application was Collier's Corner, affectionately known as. So these buildings are all have names now, so which is obviously the way it was historically as well. When you start identifying these buildings, in fact, we still do that today. 124, 126 Street is somehow known as the Shaved Ice Building, even though it was in there for like a minute, so it just happens. So some people call it the Net Tech Building, some people call it the Shaved Ice Building. It's actually called Eichmann Exchange, is what a lot of people are calling it these days, because it was the Eichmann Building. Sorry for the history lesson there, but let me get back on track. 126 South Lebanon Street, Collier's Corner, LLC, Robert McCormick. 126 South Lebanon Street is the address, zone central business, and this property has not been before the HPC. The classification is the same as the last building, which is which could be, sorry, I probably should have said could be in the last one, could be less than 50 years old, and which is compatible with its historic surroundings, or a building which is over 40 years old and whose character remains but does not rise to the level of notable or outstanding. This building is included in the National Register of Historic Places, Lebanon Courthouse Square Historic District. The action requested tonight is a facade restoration, which is a great meeting, by the way. Three applications with facade restorations. It's good stuff. So I'll break this down the same as I did the last one: east, south, west, and north. So this one has one more side, and that's that north side I was trying to describe incorrectly on the last application. So we'll start with the east-facing side, which is the storefront side. Existing brick is to be cleaned and tuck pointed. Cornice will receive a new coat of paint in similar off-white color to match existing. A new aluminum storefront of white or off-white color will be installed in the first floor openings and trimmed out with metal wraps, of matching color at the perimeter of the openings. New aluminum clad windows, color to match the storefront, will be installed in the second floor original arched openings. The south facade. This is the facade that's going to go through some changes, so there's a little bit more detail here. Same thing. The existing masonry plaster material will remain and be repaired as needed before receiving a new coat of paint. The existing single-story addition at the southwest corner will have the non-historic brick veneer and metal siding removed. A new layer of stucco will be, stucco, the masonry material, will be applied over the existing substrate and painted to match the adjacent two-story facade. New aluminum-clad wood windows, white or off-white, will be installed in the first and second floor openings. Doors of matching finishes will be installed where shown on the floor plans. The existing exterior staircase that gets hit by a truck once every other week will be removed. The door at the top of the exterior staircase will be reconfigured to a window that will match the opening size of the existing windows. Within the original first floor footprint, the 3 existing doors will be reconfigured to windows that will match the existing window size. This will all make sense when I show you the pictures. In addition, one of the existing windows will be reconfigured to a door. And this is all in the name of the access and the new layout of that space. On the single-story addition in the rear, the existing configuration will be modified to have 2 new windows and moving the door to the westernmost side of the elevation. The west-facing side, the alley side, the existing single-story addition at the southwest corner will have the non-historic metal siding removed. A new layer of stucco will be applied over the existing substrate and painted to match the adjacent 2-story facade. The existing plaster at the second floor will be repaired as needed before receiving a new coat of paint. And that second floor surface that you see is another one of those weird surfaces where you just slightly catch a glimpse of it as you're traveling west to east on State Road 32 and look up if you don't have your eyes on the road. The north facade is that facade I tried to describe earlier, which is that view from Main Street, West Main Street that you see as you're going west to east at the Huntington Bank drive-through. The existing plaster at the second floor will be repaired as needed before receiving a new coat of paint. And new aluminum-clad window, white or off-white, will be installed in one of the existing second floor openings. The other opening is to be infilled and finished to match adjacent plaster facade. And again, that is so that it matches the functionality of the reuse of the layout of the apartments on the second floor. Staff recommendation, same as the last building, a significant amount of general repair and maintenance is the largest undertaking of the facade improvements. This list can be found in the facade report provided by the applicant. Along with the changes proposed, the facade of the building will be left in outstanding condition. Staff believes the proposed changes to the structure will not have a negative impact on the building or the district. Therefore, staff recommendation is to approve the COA as submitted. There is the storefront elevation. Mini barn siding on the front, vinyl storm door, replacement windows that have had the arch infilled, which we do not encourage in today's world. So you can see this building has just been modified over the years in that period of time when there were no regulations, and the cheaper option was the option of choice. There is the south elevation as it stands today. And I will show you where these changes are taking place that I described, where the doors are going away, windows are going in place of the door. Obviously, where the staircase is on this side, that door right there is the door that will become a window. This is the add-on my understanding at one point in time, I think this was White Cabin Hamburgers. If anybody in the room is old enough to remember or just have read about it. I'm not accusing anybody of being terribly old. It did have a pretty famous historic use in it once upon a time. And there's our lovely barn siding on the alley facing west facade. I think most of these, there's a couple different historic pictures that weren't in the first one, but there you can see one. I don't think I have a date on that one. There's the 1983 picture. That's got to be somewhere in the 60s or 70s, I would say, without seeing a car. And the 1910 picture. So these buildings are kind of together in history. Not much difference there in the historical pictures. Proposed elevations. Again, just a nice refresh of the storefront side, taking it back to an original configuration, arched windows in the front, nice storefront, brick all nice and cleaned up, and bringing back its identity. All right, so let's get into some of those changes. At the bottom, you can see it's labeled the south elevation demolition. So that is existing, which is essentially image number 2. So if you go up to image number 6, that is where you start to see the changes in the doors and windows, which I'm sure you've all had an opportunity to look at. But I just wanted to show you those in the public meeting side by side. You can see, the doors going away, becoming windows, and the new door in the third space, on the street level. And there's the reason for it. So, new stairwell, interior instead of exterior. And since I can't talk right now, that's about it. Sorry about that. A little tickle in my throat.
It's just a building, Derek. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's just a building. It's okay.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, so staircase is moving to the inside is the biggest change there. So that's why you see some of the reconfigurations, which staff believes that's a better option than the exterior staircase that, as mentioned, continues to get hit. So that is the reason for all the window and door changes. I'm going to give up at this point. So there it is.
All right.
If you have any questions for me, I cannot answer them.
My only question is going to be what are trucks going to hit now if the staircase is gone? All right.
Indeed.
Thank you. Are there any questions for our staff at this time?
My thought was on the that southwest addition building that was purportedly the hamburger place. I wasn't quite sure that the notes seemed to state we were taking the brick off. And I walked past there, there's a significant gap between the two buildings, et cetera, and just help me understand that exchange there.
Yep, this is Andrew Anderson again with Delve Design Architects. Yeah, so the brick that you see on there today is not original brick. It's been added at some point, which I'm not sure. The wall behind there is original brick behind that, although it's not face brick. It would have been kind of builder's brick that you wouldn't want exposed. And notably, that has been struck by a car since that, I can't tell in the photo if that's after the car hit it or
Yeah, there's.
that is after
some
the car
brick
hit it.
missing.
Those photos were taken before the car hit it. So notably, the brick is in a state of needing repair as it is. It's also non-original brick. And there are some dimensional differences between that and the next facade. And then there's the metal above, which I don't think any of us care to see moving forward. So what we have proposed is that we remove the non-original brick, remove the non-original metal siding. And then as you saw in the elevations, with moving the door and those windows around for that new apartment layout, we would like to just go back with plaster stucco finish that would match what's currently existing just east of that on the two-story portion. So it would all be more contiguous in the finish.
And you're proposing a new ramp
Yeah.
on the sidewalk?
Yeah, so the plans that were submitted at that time, we were conservatively anticipating that a ramp would be required there. Since then, have had conversations with a code consultant and determined that the ramp would not be required. However, stoops will be needed just for access because today, as you can see, it's not suitable for. I think some of the doors actually further to the east have wood pallets to deal with the grade change. So we are proposing concrete stoops, but no ramps because those won't be required.
Would the new masonry be the same color then as the main building? I noticed, the reason I brought that up was the historical picture from whatever 60s, 70s seemed to indicate two colors. I didn't know if there was a thought on that.
You want to drive your iPad? Okay, pull up which photo and I'll try and answer Tim's question.
Being an addition, I just wondered if we wanted to maybe delineate the historical nature of the two ages of the two structures.
It's a great question. I don't think we had considered doing that. And so your question is, one, I can't tell, and I haven't seen better photos of that addition to know what the white material is.
Right.
That's down there. Yeah, I think it's a great question. I don't know when it was constructed. It's obviously not, they were obviously done at two different times. The two-story portion and the one-story portion are essentially two separate buildings that have been since joined. I think we could.
We thought, we were just thinking to keep it. Yeah, definitely open to that. I think, we just initially thought to keep it contiguous, one side, one building. But if we thought it added more character and everybody liked it better, I'm all ears for that.
So just to be clear, the proposal bring the stucco material all the way across, even to the one-story building. So, fill that in with something that builds it out to the same depth as the original building, but it'll be painted and the stucco color. So whatever they put, the proposal right now is whatever they put up there will be covered and you won't see it.
Okay.
Just want to make sure that.
I just wondered if maybe we wanted to give some sort of definition between the two.
Goes back to design, if I mentioned earlier. I think what you're saying is cool, but I just want other opinions, honestly.
Yeah, no, Tim, I think it's a great recommendation. The owner's not opposed to it. If the commission amongst you feels like that's the right move, I think we could certainly show that.
I'll let you weigh in, Derek. I don't know if we need to, I guess if maybe, I don't want to speak for Tim, but I guess if the commission would feel strongly one way or the other, would that be something we just leave into kind of your hands to look at or to work with the applicant on?
I don't want to throw a wrench into the works. As I was looking at this picture, that idea came to me.
Or I guess maybe Derek's question is too, if they did want to do something that was maybe, as Tim was suggesting, would we need to do anything? Or I mean, I don't think there would be an issue with it because it would still fit the HPC standards. So I guess I would hate to throw a wrench into things, as you said, to have a recommendation come from us. But I think, but I guess I also want to, at the same time, if they did, like Tim's suggestion, is that something that they would have to come back to us on, or would it be still kosher with our standards?
I think you could. I think in order to make sure that staff, whether it's this application or any other application, is not put in an awkward spot of judging or objectively approving, things. I'm open to the idea of approving the plan as submitted with an alternate possibility of. Sorry, I've just talked too much tonight, I guess. An alternate, approval of a brick material that I like some specifics on that, So if there's a second option and it's a red brick option, that I think it should be defined as brick from sidewalk to the top of that addition, if that's what the commission so chooses. A color that is complementary to the building, I think it could work for me in terms of giving me a little bit of freedom to make that decision in the field if they resubmit that in a different format. Obviously, I'm in tune with and careful with what I would approve. I'm not going to approve a purple brick or a pink brick necessarily. Not that I have a problem with purple or pink, but it just doesn't, not consistent with our district. So if it were some sort of brick that is complementary to the district, brick colors that are found in the district, if it's worded that way, I could get comfortable with making that decision on a staff level if the proposal does change. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, does that sound good, Tim, to do it that way? That way they have the submission or what they submitted would be okay, but also they would have the option to do that as an alternative to have that for that one-story place. And that way we're not sticking them with one or the other. They have an option, and then staff can make the determination or just make sure that it's consistent with the district.
I would be open to that. I would say I'm not saying it has to be brick. I didn't know if maybe even the masonry applied material as proposed, but it could be a different depth, different color, complementary color, obviously. Just to give some definition of what was the historic building and then what is the addition.
Yeah, sure. No, I think I agree with what has been said. I think that's a decent idea. I think it's a good idea, not decent. And if you want to give the applicant the freedom to make those decisions post-meeting, I'm comfortable with that as long as I have a little bit of guardrail in place.
So would we, I also have a question on this window on the west side. Looks to be right in the middle of the electrical boxes there. I would assume we still need some meters there and all that would be moved, taken care of.
You're talking about those right there?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, Tim. So we are actually going to relocate all electrical meters to the west. This is the south elevation. We're going to move them to the west elevation, which would be the alley. Same with the gas meters that you'll see. Essentially all that equipment that's street side right now will be moved to the west side of the building. So that will not conflict with the new window. And same scenario on this window that's being added as the others because of the apartment configurations now. This is being converted. This building has 9 apartments in it today. We're going down to 4. And so, yeah, as part of that total reconfiguration, the new window, again, was just necessary to make it most efficient. But
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, hey, good discussion. Yeah, I really like the how the two buildings with the previous application as well. I just how that it's kind of add some consistency. They kind of really complement each other. I think on the Lebanon Street facing side. So I really good job on those. So I guess we'll entertain a motion, and I guess ask that the motion also maybe include the just some verbiage around giving them the option to do an alternative part for that the building at the rear. So
I would make a motion then, go back to the agenda.
126 South.
Thank you. To approve the application at 126 South Lebanon Street, with the idea that I'd like to see an option for a different facade for that west addition, to be complementary colors and materials that are found at least in the district, as option B, if you will.
Just
That muddles.
define it clearly. A brick material, a actual, I don't want to get into a situation where, not that they're going to propose it, but I don't want to see a hardy plank siding or, something like that. So
As masonry material, you're saying a masonry material, whether that's,
specifically brick, some would.
you don't think stucco?
Oh, no, the stucco's fine, which that was the original application, yes. But if they're going to remove that and put an exposed material in it, I think it should be a brick material. Oh, that's what you're proposing?
I was thinking both could be stucco, one could be proud of the other if necessary. I don't know what the depths are,
Sure.
but just different color stucco.
Different colors. Okay, sorry, I was misunderstanding the conversation completely, obviously. Yeah.
I'm open to the stucco
Okay.
material, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to clarify the motion, should I restate it?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Gotcha. I understand now. I completely understand. So my comments earlier probably didn't make any sense now that I think about it. So yes, if we're talking about just separate colors, I'm comfortable with that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Then I will restate my motion that we approve the application at 126 South Lebanon Street, with giving staff the ability to see a different design of a different color for that western addition, different color facade there. Same material, but complementary with the district.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, thank you.
Sorry to make that confusing, Derek. I'm swinging for the fences on my first night.
Is there any other business before the commission tonight, Derek?
There are no staff approved COAs to discuss tonight, so I have no further business.
All right, then we are adjourned. Or I guess, I'm sorry, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.